Hello, Steve Ramsden here with DIY Movie Making, and this week we are making a fun satellite zoom out shot from the Earth to space. This video is sponsored by Artlist, royalty-free music and sound effects for video creators. So this is the sort of shot that you might see in a spy thriller where there is an emphasis on surveillance. The camera will often zoom all the way in or out to show that the character is being watched from a long distance away. So I'm going to show you how to create this type of shot on a budget. Just like I teach in my course DIY Movie Making, you don't always need a lot of money to get some really creative shots. I'm always looking for new ways to do a lot with a little to really add some production value to my film projects, and if you want to see lots more fun DIY movie making tips and tricks, then of course hit that subscribe button. So let's say we want to start close up on our character and end up right out in space with a satellite monitoring them. The way to always make this kind of impossible shot is to break it down into several shots and then blend them together, and I've tried several other experiments like this in the past. In fact, if you're interested in this one, you'll probably also enjoy my video from a few years back on transitioning from a drone shot outside a window to a gimbal shot on the inside. For this experiment, the easiest way to think of it is you need a beginning shot, a middle shot, and an end shot. The beginning shot is the close-up, and the end shot is a view from space, and the middle shot we'll worry about last. So let's start with the first shot, and this is the only real bit of filming that's needed. And for this, I headed out to a deserted location with my small drone. Next, I sent the drone into the air and lined it up directly above me. I was shooting in 4K, but would finish the shot in HD, so this meant I could zoom in later and get more of a close-up without getting the drone dangerously close. Once the drone was in a good position, I then raised it up at a fairly constant speed, so the camera is slowly getting higher and we can see more of the area I am standing in. When the drone reached its maximum altitude, I stopped it and brought it back down. So that was part 1 filmed, and it was time to head back to the editing room to create the rest. For the third shot, the ending, the easiest solution was to use stock footage, and I found a good shot of the whole UK as if it was seen from space. This just left the second shot, the middle section, which is always going to be the hardest bit. We have to find a way to get from here, the end of the real first shot, to here, the stock footage view of the whole country. If this was being done with a proper budget, then this is the section that would probably likely be computer generated. But for this demonstration of a budget version, I started by going onto Google Earth and looking up the spot where I had actually filmed, and zoomed all the way out to the widest view of the full country. And I did a screen recording of that same move. So Google owns this middle section of the effect and not me, but this was just to use as a demonstration. So this gave me my 3 shots, and now it's time to try and blend them together using Adobe After Effects. So if we head into After Effects, first we're going to import our drone shot. Apart from the start where I look up, the rest of the shot needs speeding up. So we can do this by right-clicking and selecting Enable Time Remapping. Add 2 keyframes to cover the area you want to speed up, and move the second one closer. This will speed up the shot. If you press the graph symbol, you can also smooth out the moment where the speed ramp begins and make this a curve. Next, we can import our Google Earth zoom and drop this below the drone shot. Now we can use the position and scale controls to decrease the size of the drone shot so that it matches with what the other shot is doing. We can also use time remapping on the Google Earth shot to speed this up as well. And it's a good idea to do this because we want to make this move as short as possible. The longer this whole shot is, the more time you will have to try and spot the joins. Once the drone shot lines up pretty well, you can adjust the colors using Lumetri Color if they don't quite match. This is a good start to disguise the edges, but a better way might be to draw a mask using the pen tool. By altering the expansion, you can keyframe this so that it appears just when you are about to see some of those straight edges that will give away the fact that you've stitched together 2 shots. And a heavy edge feather will really help as well. If it still doesn't match too well, you can always duplicate the same layer underneath and do a wider mask, with the opacity turned down a bit. As they get smaller and smaller, the idea is to eventually fade the original layer or layers away completely, once the figure is too small to see. So this is now looking pretty good, matching the first 2 shots, and don't worry about those edges you can still see of the first one, because we will be adding an extra zoom later on to fix this. This now leaves us with our third shot, and we need to blend our second shot into this one. As you can see, they are at slightly different angles. The Google Earth shot is straight down, while the stock footage is more from an angle. So to fix this, we can turn on 3D for our Google Earth top-down shot, and move the X-axis so that it matches the angle of the stock footage better. This can be keyframed to get more extreme as the shot goes on. Once this is a good match, we can add a time remap to freeze the start of the stock footage layer as a still, so it won't move. Just drop a keyframe and copy and paste it further along. Now during this still section, we can alter the scale keyframes to add a zoom to match the other shot. Now we can move the position keyframe until the maps basically line up. And when zoomed right in, you can find something that is roughly accurate for the part of the map where the other shots were from. Now we can do the same trick as before to get rid of those telltale straight edges of the shot that is disappearing. We can draw a mask and keyframe the expansion to make it only appear right when we need it. With a large amount of feather on the edges, it will disguise really well, as will adding Lumetri color once again and changing the colors to match. And remember, you can always keyframe these color properties to change over time, just like anything else in After Effects. Now when you're making a composite shot like this, another thing that will really help is to seamlessly join your audio together with some consistent sound design. I started off using our sponsor Artlist mostly just for music, but I am increasingly using it more and more for my sound effects too, as I keep finding good versions of exactly what I need on there. And Artlist is a subscription-based, royalty-free music and sound effects site. I also use it for many professional jobs I do through my production company, because they've got lots of high quality tracks and they offer unlimited downloads for one simple license and one monthly fee. The license covers everything no matter what size of project you are working on. And if you want to sign up to Artlist, you can use my link below this video to get 2 extra months. So spare a thought for your audio as well when making a shot like this, because remember kids, sound is half the picture. So now we have a pretty good basic blend between our 3 original shots, and now we can add a few extra details to hide the joins even further. And yes, I know there is no motion blur on all this, but don't worry, we are going to add that right at the end. The first thing you can do is add some clouds that the camera could appear to move through, and if there are already some in your 3rd shot, you can try doing what I did and basically extract them. To do this, we can duplicate our stock footage layer on top of our Google Earth shot and add the Luma key effect. If Key Out Darker is selected, it will only display the brightest areas, which in this case were the clouds. You can then fade these in and they will seem to appear over your other shot. This little detail helps disguise the join between the 2nd shot and the 3rd shot even more, because it gives your eyes something else to look at. You could also add your own stock images of clouds. I did this a little earlier to hide the join between the 1st shot and the 2nd shot. I didn't want to cover the middle as I thought that would basically be cheating, but I did position these around the edges of the frame. Then I created a new null object and parented the cloud images to it. I could then scale this null object to match the size of the field, getting smaller, and then all the clouds then stick to this and change size at the correct position and speed. Once we reach our stock footage clouds layer, we can then fade these extra clouds out. So that left us with our zoom out all the way from shot 1 through 2 through 3, with clouds covering the joins each time. And as a finishing touch, I figured there should be some kind of reference to surveillance, so I added this stock image of a satellite from our friends over at Production Crate, and simply keyframed this to move past in the foreground. And now this is time to add the motion blur, which will really help, but because the objects themselves, which in this case are the video layers, aren't actually moving that much within our frame, we can't just tick the motion blur toggle as usual. Instead, it's better to add an adjustment layer over everything and then add the radial blur effect. Change the type from spin to zoom, then we can keyframe the amount of this blur so that it starts at 0, and then as soon as the camera begins to move away from our character, it can increase and then drop down to 0 again as the shot finishes. This blur makes the whole effect work much more effectively and hides a ton of janky edges. Now we can finish this shot up by pre-composing all the layers into one new layer. Then we can fix those edges that are showing right at the start by adding an extra zoom to the beginning of the shot. This then slowly zooms out to normal size as the shot goes on. So now we are done, and we can see how the shot plays out as part of a small scene where a character has a feeling he's being watched and then is proved correct. Well, if you enjoyed that and want to learn how to make the best film you can right now, then you will love my free webinar where I reveal my top 10 tips for making your passion project on a budget. It's the list I wish had existed when I was first starting out and I knew absolutely nothing. So I've put this free list together to give you some filmmaking inspiration no matter what level you are at. There's tips on everything from script writing a good idea, to pre-production and planning, to running your actual shoot where I share tips from real recent short films that I have directed, and then all the way through to post-production. Happy movie making, and I'll see you next time.